Water doesn't forgive. 15 years ago, I learned that lesson when a flash flood ravaged my home in Arkansas, swallowing furniture, photos, and my daughter's childhood in a muddy tide. That night, under a merciless sky dumping 6 inches of rain in 2 hours, I stood in my flooded living room, clutching a soaked album above my head, helpless as my life dissolved. The scars, emotional, financial, never faded. They sharpened my senses, turned every slope and ditch into a warning sign. So when I moved to Cedar Ridge's quiet foothills, I didn't just buy a house. I bought elevation, a chance to outweat nature's wrath. The cedar-framed craftsman home seemed perfect, birds chirping, skies wide, a dream for most. But I saw the hidden threat, a gentle incline behind my property, a runway for runoff during heavy rain. I'd memorized FEMA flood maps, could trace water's path like a hunter tracks prey. Before unpacking, I acted. No grand project, just a practical fix. A 30-foot trench, 6-inch perforated pipe wrapped in mesh, packed with gravel, and hidden under grass. It quietly channeled water to the street's gutter, keeping my foundation dry. For 5 years, it worked flawlessly. My sump pump idled while neighbors' yards turned to swamps. I kept quiet. My solution wasn't their business. Then came Sarah, an HOA board member with a yapping spaniel and a knack for meddling. One April morning, she paused by my flower bed, eyeing the subtle dip in my lawn. "What's that trench for?" she asked, tone sharp as her leash. I brushed dirt off my jeans. "Storm drain," I said. "Keeps water moving safely, all on my land." Her eyes narrowed. "Did you get board approval?" "No need," I replied. "It's self-contained, invisible." She gave a thin smile. "We'll discuss this." I thought little of it. Surely the HOA had bigger problems. I was naive. A week later, an email hit my inbox, followed by a certified letter and a violation notice on crisp letterhead. Unapproved drainage structure, it declared, citing vague rules about aesthetic disruption. My blood boiled not from fear, but from the stench of control. This wasn't about my lawn. It was about their power. I dug into my files, FEMA maps, slope calculations, soil tests, photos of the drain's construction. I wrote a calm letter, stapled my evidence, and hand-delivered it to the HOA office. The assistant barely glanced up from her phone. I knew then, they didn't want reason. They wanted obedience. 2 weeks later, a colder letter arrived. Remove the drain in 10 days or face $70 daily fines. I sat in my garage, the memory of that Arkansas flood crushing my chest, soggy photos, my daughter's fear of storms. Not again. I'd chosen this land for its safety, built stability with my own hands. Now some HOA bureaucrats wanted to tear it down. I didn't yell. I documented. Videos of the drain working in light rain, photos of my untouched yard, state laws backing private drainage. I sent it all, knowing it was futile. The HOA meeting was a circus in a beige clubhouse stinking of cheap disinfectant. Sarah sat beside the president, Daniel Pierce, a man who brandished his clipboard like a scepter, his polo shirt ironed to a crisp edge. I stood at the lectern, binder open. "I'm Mark Thompson," I said evenly. "I built a French drain to protect my home. It's legal, hidden, and doesn't touch anyone else's property." I showed photos, cited state code. Daniel cut me off. "It's about process, Mr. Thompson. You didn't ask us." Sarah added, "It ruins the neighborhood's look." I held up a picture of my grass-covered drain. "You can't see it." Daniel leaned forward. "If we let you do this, everyone will dig trenches." A neighbor muttered, "This is ridiculous." I locked eyes with Daniel. "You can fight nature, but nature always wins." They voted to remove it anyway. I tried one last time. I sent a package rainfall data, flood maps, a warning that dismantling my drain could flood Daniel's own yard. Silence. I called the city, spoke to a sharp engineer named Ethan, who confirmed HOAs couldn't override state drainage laws. He sent county guidelines hinting at liability if the HOA caused damage. I filed it away. Then the contractors arrived, 2 men in orange vests, one with a shovel. I blocked them at my gate. "You're risking soil stability," I said. "Got a permit?" They balked, left to check with the HOA. 2 days later, Daniel showed up. "Comply, or we'll fine you for interference," he snapped. I held up my documents. "You're endangering everyone." He smirked. "We'll risk it." They ripped out my drain, sod torn, gravel scattered, pipe tossed like junk. I watched, heart cold, as clouds gathered. The rain hit 2 nights later, soft at first, then a torrent. By Friday, it was biblical 2 inches per hour, flash flood warnings blaring. I stood on my porch, boots sinking into sodden grass, watching runoff carve paths toward Daniel's house, the Wilsons, the Carters. By 9 p.m., emergency alerts buzzed. I documented photos, videos, timestamps. Daniel's garage was submerged, his wife's SUV half in a hedge. Sarah's flower beds were a swamp, her solar lights floating like debris. She screamed into the storm, happy now? I stayed silent. Fire trucks rolled in, beams slicing the chaos. A firefighter knocked. "You okay?" he asked. "Dry," I said. He glanced at my yard. "That trench was smart. Too bad it's gone." I nodded. "Yeah, too bad." Dawn exposed the carnage. Cedar Ridge was a wreck, mailboxes toppled, lawns drowned, the HOA clubhouse surrounded by water. Sarah stood by the clogged city drain, face raw. "Daniel's house is ruined," she said. "Wilson's too." I sipped my coffee. "I warned you," she whispered. "Got the plans still?" I nodded. "I'll share them with the city, not the HOA. For the families who lost everything." She didn't argue. The city moved fast. Ethan called my files bulletproof. The HOA faced investigation for negligence. Daniel resigned quietly, his home a write-off. Sarah quit too, her apology at a town hall raw but real. The mayor stepped in, praising my foresight and offering me a role to redesign drainage. "Teach them why it matters," I said. He agreed. Cedar Ridge changed. The city built rain gardens, permeable paths, and a swale I designed, now a county model. Neighbors who once shunned me asked for help, planted native grasses, built rain barrels. Kids called my swale the creek. At a regional summit, I told our story to planners, ending with a truth: safety isn't control. It's listening. The applause didn't matter. The dry ground did. Water doesn't bend to rules. Neither do I now.